Hello, once again, I'm BR Schultz. Thank you for joining me. It is week 45. It's November 6th, day after the election. Markets are up substantially today after the election results from yesterday. Trump was able to secure the 47th president spot, and so cementing his place in history to sit in the presidency in the 250th birthday of America in 2026. And for those of you that know that I love Elvis Presley, obviously Elvis Presley, in my opinion, embodied the spirit of 1776 back in 1976, dying just after that. So very interesting how that time played out as well. I'm having my 7th kid in May of 2025. So believe it or not, I've been extremely blessed. Those of you know a little bit of my background. I had a pretty bad divorce over a decade ago, and unfortunately, my ex had found an old flame, and so that destroyed me. But like the story of Job, God can bless with double. When you're an innocent person, God can restore you. So I guess that's part of the story of my life, is how I've been blessed. I had a couple kids in my first marriage, and I'm being so blessed to have 5 kids in my second marriage. So yeah, and then obviously President Trump really, I believe, cements capitalism and freedom for my kids and their kids. So that was it's very important for me to see that come about last night and this morning. So congratulations to all those who voted and voted for Trump specifically. Thank you for your contribution to fighting for America and fighting for my kids' future. Obviously, none of us could do it without the other. So it's Americans uniting, of all backgrounds, all races, and I really, MLK's dream was to see America united across all races, and so I believe we're seeing that. So it's a sweet moment for those that treasure MLK and his legacy. I truly believe that Donald Trump is an answer to MLK's dream, and obviously Elvis sang a song about that as well. So to me, there's just a lot of historical events happening and unfolding. I think that could only be done by God's hand. So to me, as a sincere and devout Christian, a devout follower of Jesus Christ, it's a very humbling time. And to me, it's only by God's hand that all this came about. So again, a hearty and heartfelt thank you to everyone that stood in line, who waited the extra hours to get their vote cast, or be turned away, but stayed with it. So I just want to say thank you, and everyone that voted early as well, in the endless rallies that Donald Trump had. It was just fun to watch him, and it truly is historic. So with that said, as you can see from the title of today's video, the last video was spot on. It predicted that there would be a major market bottom around November 1st, and sure enough, there was. I think that the last video was made, in July, possibly? So it was made months in advance that there'd be a major bottom in markets around November 1st. And we saw the markets tank in the last days of October. And that was right on the bullseye. And so what's next? Basically, I have a 5-minute model that I will show you today, and basically try to explain my thesis for a market peak, the next major market peak right around December 2nd. Thank you for joining me. I'm B.R. Schultz, and it's about 304 weeks until the Great Depression window. You know, if you're my age, if you're an 80s baby, one of the first millennials, we might actually get Social Security, right? Payments when we're older, a decent amount in Social Security. If Trump is able to replenish the Social Security funds and bring interest rates down, maybe they can borrow at a low interest rate to replenish and fill up the lacking part of Social Security, so that when the millennials retire, maybe we'll get a decent Social Security check. You know, that wouldn't be too bad. I've worked 20 years of my life paying into Social Security. So, and there's those of you that are older than I am that are obviously wanting to retire too at some point, and hopefully the Great Depression isn't so bad. Maybe President Trump with his trade negotiations can restore or avert a huge Great Depression. Obviously, capitalism with proper safeguards is a very powerful tool and weapon and machine that is able to really fight against some of the hardest economic times. Obviously, pure capitalism can be manipulated. We know the Rockefellers, would undercut pricing so as to drive out their competition and jack the prices up, right? So capitalism needs safeguards. It does, but it's still one of the best tools and methods of fighting economic downturns. So with that said, it's been a while since I made a video, so good to hear from you. If you enjoy my work, whatever, and you want to throw a $7 donation for me having my 7th kid, there's little scan QR codes within this that you could, or $77 or $700, whatever. But yeah, you can feel free to donate if you enjoy my work and want to say cheers for the October 31st bottom call. You certainly may do so. Thank you for joining me. Let's move on. Blah, 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 yakety schmackety. If you want to donate, you certainly can. And the link for PayPal is down below this video. If you would rather use a link, that's scan a QR code that you have no clue where it's going to. Completely understand that one. So this is the chart you saw last time. Let's see here. So it was around the end of July that I published this. You can see this is the same chart that I used last time, basically projected that there'd be a major bottom right around 1031, and that's 1031 or 11.1. That's exactly where it fell. That's where the market hit its bottom, much like that late April 2024. So you can see how powerful the 2-minute Federal Reserve algo is. And again, if you want to throw a small donation my way or a large donation, the QR code is there. So cheers to everyone who thinks that market timing is near impossible. The MJ shot was off the bleachers, off the billboard, back through the window, off the top of the glass. Nothing but net. Perfect. Spot on. From months out. You say that's not possible. There's no way you could know 3 months in advance that would happen. There's no possible way. With all the economic variables, there had to be something that would stop your prediction. Something that would stop your stupid little squiggly line from predicting the future. But did it? Did anything stop it? No. So hopefully this is mind-blowing for some of you. Some of you think that such a task is impossible. Well, I've spent the last, 14 years of my life trying to prove that it is possible. And so let's move on to the peak. Thank you for sticking with me. All right. So we're on to the peak now. So the green wave kind of gives us our peak trajectory. So I've taken my 5-minute purple and green wave model, flipped it upside down. Basically, you're looking at the green wave here, and there's 4 or 5 touch points. You might say between 3 and 4, there's actually another touch point. It's actually going through like that green turn or twist around October 15th. So point number 4 might actually be a 5th touch point. But nonetheless, it's suggesting that right around the last day of November, the first business day of December, because we have a Thanksgiving, we have a holiday, will be the peak in the markets. So that's where my next projection is. And those of you who looked at my blog, this could be wave 5 up, right, from the early August bottom. So there could be like a 5-wave move up here, and we could have a substantial sell-off in December, believe it or not. And those of you who remember markets when Trump was in office before, the markets had some really steep sell-offs, honestly, because the markets would run up extremely hard and then have a 10 to 15% sell-off in a very short time frame, right? So the sell-offs usually only happen between about 18 and 22 daily candles on the SP500 USD on TradingView.com. So that would align with roughly the mid-December Fed date meeting. So that's where I'm kind of looking for a possible next presentation, laying that out. So so you can look for that that video right around the end of November, early December, and then again, I think we'll have some type of major bottom kind of mid-December. So again, I'll make a video at that when we get there. Thank you so much for joining. Hopefully you are and encouraged by Trump's ability to unite America. It's funny to watch all the YouTube videos of those that try to interview Democrat supporters, and they try to ask them what policies they actually support. They can never give a specific answer. It's almost like they're interviewing Kamala Harris, right? Kamala could never answer the question. A lot of these communists just can't answer questions. They're unable to. And so let that be a warning to us all, right? Help us to make it clear to our own selves that we need to be people of truth, of courage, of honesty. And if we can't answer questions, then perhaps we're not being honest, right? So sometimes we are very smart as people to hide our own faults and failures, even from our own selves. But when we can't answer questions or we can't listen to other people give points without taking time to think, perhaps we're not going down the right road. So that's usually the early warning signs, right? Denial. And so may we be people who you can unite as a country, can talk about God, family, and family values, and jobs, and the spirit of America, and the spirit of America's traditions. We're not a perfect nation by any means. We have our sins and our faults, just like every other nation. But God's hand has truly been on America since its beginning. And to all the different backgrounds and cultures and races that are uniting with Trump, it is a blessing. And like I said, it's so I think historic to see what I believe to be Martin Luther King's dream of having all the races unite in America under a republic constitution and in freedom and brotherly love, as God has so blessed this country. So if you voted for Trump, I just want to say a hearty thank you. With 7 kids, it brings me to my knees. It makes me cry. It makes me weep, because I obviously the future is so dependent upon my choices and the politicians. And if you're young and you truly want to challenge yourself in life, have a lot of kids, right? And follow Christ, follow Jesus Christ. That's a huge challenge. The Lord said it would be a narrow road, So if you truly want a challenge for your life, if you truly want to take on a challenge that hardly anyone else is going to take in your age group, at least it was true for me, very few people in my school were dedicated Christ followers. And I'm not saying that as a badge of courage, but what I'm saying is it's a lonely place. It's a solitary place. But in that, there's great freedom, and you get to stand strong when the rest of the world is wavering. And it teaches you to be strong. It teaches you to be a leader. It teaches you not to put your trust in others, but put your trust in the holy God of the Bible. And that's why I heavily encourage people to read the book Answers to Prayer, or Release the Power of Prayer, by George Mueller, who ran 5 orphanages in the 1800s simply through prayer. He never asked a single human being for a donation. So if you are a Christian and you find yourself sometimes bored or not challenged in your Christian walk, I would encourage you to read Release the Power of Prayer by George Mueller. And if you're a bookworm, I would even encourage you to go and even read the 2-volume set of George Mueller's autobiography. Basically, it says the Lord's dealings with George Mueller, and I think they're each about 1,200 pages each. I bought a set back in some dark days of my life, and that's when I really decided to pursue Christ with all I had. So, again, if you want a challenge, if you want to know what it's like to have faith that can move mountains, to put your faith in God, who is unseen, with concrete faith and hope, and you really want to extend yourself into something that is extremely powerful and yet a challenge, I would heartily encourage you to read that book or become a Christian by all means. But I'm really excited about America's next 4 years, and may the Lord bless President Trump with protection, obviously, for him and his family and his future cabinet and all those that would be with him. I pray that God would be with his choices, his picks, that he would protect their lives and keep them from blackmail and fear, that he'd make them courageous. The men and women that he'd choose would be moral individuals, would be upright individuals who would not be able to be bribed or swayed by public opinion or by the media, but they would be willing to sacrifice themselves to follow the Lord's word and his guidance and his truth, and that God would protect, lead, and guide our leaders at the most highest levels of our position. And if we have seen anything that shows us that leaders need to be led by the hand of God, it is the last 4 years of this presidency that has been extremely destructive to America. And I think God let it get so bad to convince the average everyday person that God himself exists. And number 2, that Satan is real and he is out to destroy America with every form of evil and vile communist practice. So I hope we learned our lesson here in the last few years, and that Trump can secure the next 40 to 70 years for my kids, so that when they get to 70 years out, 50 years out from now, that they have enough memory of this time that they can stand against communism in their own strength, trusting in God. I'm B.R. Schultz. Hopefully you've enjoyed my forecasts. Hopefully you see how powerful and effective and accurate they are. At least the final prediction, right? I can't always guess the inner workings of the time frame between the points, but I try to give the final swing points or pivot points to the viewer in a way that's undeniably accurate. So cheers to another highly accurate call from 2 to 3 months out from late July for the November 2nd, late October bottom call. And then markets are, in my opinion, are expected to peak right at the end of November or even December 2nd. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, I'm B.R. Schultz. So hopefully you've enjoyed my show today. Warning, this is all forecast use only. Come here. You want to read this for me? What does that say? Forecast?
Forecast.
Use?
Use only.
Only. Right. And what's this say?
Warning.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer. I am not
A licensed investment professional. That's Latin. So say caveat emptor. Seek professional advice prior to investing. Investing bears risk
of
financial
loss.
Very good. And so basically this is saying if you ever try to invest in stocks or anything else, you could lose money. Warning, warning, warning. And all my graphs are subject to change. And not all the results are not always the same. Yeah. Thank you for reading for me.
You're welcome.
And that's it for today. I'm B.R. Schultz. Until next time, take care.